Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in to check out your boy, B Farm Thinking Right out here in the lab, and I'm in the book. I'm about to get upset because I'm about to get real militant. This here chapter is about how they tried to whitewash Kemet a long time ago. And when I get this book, I get real angry of how they mistreated us. So bear with me. I'm gonna be a little, might seem to be a little militant, but this is the stuff that really sticks to my core. So let's get this lesson going. Right, I'm 25 years old, live by storytelling, story with a message. There's a message in my stories for life. I give you life lessons. You tune in and receive them. I appreciate you. We got a good thing going. Let's do what we do. Right thinking mission is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. Right thinking way of life through mental and spiritual discipline. Practice daily will help and guide you to obtain your goal of reaching spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. My mission that all right thinkers know thyself. If you're a right thinker, your goal is to know thyself. If you're right thinker, your mission is your goal is to know thyself. You see where I'm going with this? So let's get there together. And I ask the question: do you know you? You will when I'm through. That's what I do. It's rhetorical, but if you don't have to answer for yourself, tune in. I got you. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple, but you can teach them. That's why I do what I do for you. Appreciate you too. Stay tuned. I got you. I got more for you. A person who knows not and believes and think that they know is dangerous. Avoid them. I do. A person who knows and knows not that they know is spiritually asleep. I couldn't wake them. I'm your spiritual alarm clock here too. What wake you up with? Knowledge of self. That's what I do for you. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right thinkers, know that self. And you know the deal. To my yacht. Be true. This is my early militant days that made me really, not like that guy. Okay, I don't like to be racist or sound like that, but this is some truth that y'all gonna be a little upset about once you hear and find out about it. So if you like me, you get a little upset, but it's all lessons. The purpose of what? Educating my people. All right, Europeanization of Kemet, whitewash, the first lie, the takeover, call it a whole bunch of stuff. But my man called it the Europeanization. Let's talk about why. Okay, the idea of modern attacks against ancient history. They try to say they question the black people. Kemet. Kemet means black. Egyptian means burnt face. Why would you question the ethnicity of the people in Egypt? Let's talk about that. First of all, that's going to be an issue for who? You know who. Let's talk about. But the idea that the people of the Nile Valley of African origin is certainly not a novel one. Why? The belief that Kemet was populated and ruled by black Africans. You know any other kind of Africans? Since its earliest beginning until the end of the native dynasties was widely held by the Kemites and by the Greeks, who had frequent contact with them. We've been dealing with the Greeks for a long time. Okay, we educated them just like we educated the Europeans, the Moors, and educated the Europeans and the Portuguese. We've been doing that for a while. Okay, and the whole idea is the Nile Valley contribution to civilization. We gave a lot, but do we get credit for it? No, that's the issue we talk about. So just all that, not be racist, not to get all crazy. No, but these are things that we did. That's no can't take it away. They tried. They tried. Right to this day, they still try. My how things don't change. But many questions concerning what ethnicity of the people of Kemet have been raised since the advent of what discipline of so-called Egyptology. But in the early 19th century, prior to that time, race was not an issue, and the color of the skin of the people of the Nile Valley dwellers were generally accepted to be a dark hue. Stop right there. We ain't got to do none of the other stuff, but no, no. They really push this thing. Okay, they really made it an issue. Remember, it's 19th century. They were still, trying to prove their point that we wasn't nothing but bad people who need to be what? Enlightened, educated, more importantly, enslaved. In this publication of The World of Africa by my man W.E.B. Du Bois, explained why, from his perspective in that time, and he was an intelligent man, okay, he began questioning the race and the color of the Egyptians. There can be but one explanation for this vagary of what the 19th century science. What could that be? I wonder. Let's find out. It was due to the slave trade and the Negro slavery. Dun, 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 dun. Colonization, okay? Europeanization was the ability to take over people, put them in a substitute position, slavery, and justify it by calling them barbarians. They don't know nothing. We had to educate them. We found them naked, running around with spears and bones in their nose. That's what most people, young people or black people with education from the white man, that's the impression of their own people. They don't have a clue what I'm giving to them right now. Why? That white man tell them, I didn't get that shit. Everybody tell me that. That's why. Oh, Black History, they give you a few dots about this, about that. For 1 month, 4 weeks, you can learn about your people. After that, come on back and do what we do. We've been settling for that. Moving on. But the reason why, it was due to the fact that the rise and the support of what? Capitalization, colonization, called for what? Rationalization based upon what? The degrading and the discrediting of the Negro, aka black people. It is especially significant that the science of Egyptology arose and flourished at the very same time that the Cotton Kingdom reached its greatest power on the foundation of American Negro slaves. They was justifying their situation to make them look like it's God. We in charge. Obey your master. They used that Bible to trick y'all into believing that God is a white man sitting up on the cloud. Jesus is only begotten. All that nonsense. We already had all that. Why would you take that from the person who can't go there? Stop going there. All right. I got two pictures of, and one of them, W.E.B. Du Bois. First black man, the white man gave a degree to a PhD at Harvard. Now this is Varney, white guy, right? He told the truth. And he got, okay, for telling the truth. He didn't acquiesce to say the negative, bad things that they wanted him to say. So they, watch this. That's called being blackball. Blackball meaning talking good about black people. The white man gonna blackball you. Or he gonna excommunicate you. You got to go. Wow. So we don't do that. Moving on. I just showed you a picture of my man W.E.B. Du Bois. But in 1895, excuse me, Du Bois became the first black American, African American to receive a PhD from the Harvard. I got a daughter. She had an opportunity to go to Harvard. And nothing would have done me better to keep saying my daughter goes to Harvard. She's a professor at Harvard. Okay, so no, she chose Stanford. Okay, so still prestigious, but Harvard was. I said, "You gonna go to Harvard?" Why? I just want to say Harvard, but that's the prestigious. Oh, you went to Harvard? All that, yeah. But they only take what? The best of the best. You ain't mediocre. You ain't even in. If you mediocre, you ain't even in the running. Okay, you had to be exceptional, so that's the difference. And they had their prestige, and everybody does that. So it's a whole thing about the education system. They want the best of the best, so they can claim I'm a student of Harvard. I graduated. I'm a Harvard University graduate. That uppity, snooty, aristocratic nonsense, and I don't have a problem with that at all. But don't put us down because you went to Harvard. Like oh come on, no. Equal respect for people who doing what they're doing. That's the concept. Spiritually, there is no Harvard. Don't give a damn about that nonsense, right? But how you treat the people. And I always ask my daughter, I don't give a damn about them professors, how they treating you. I never met none of my daughter's professors. You know, Papa Smurf ain't playing that. So if you ain't taking care, Smurf hat, we gonna have a problem. So yeah, personal. But yeah, educational people supposed to be different people. Okay, so how about we all just get educated? Why they think you're unenlightened because you don't have education? Their education. No, 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 no. We had a system that was second to none. Moving on. But the whole point is now we starting to see what that race thing come into play. That's what I wanted to show you. And now it wasn't just against the black. If a white person, he's white, he about to get ripped. The suggestion that the history of ancient Egypt would be rewritten to support the racist ideology is more than a notion. That's a fact. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what makes me mad. Why? They've been doing this a long time. This ain't just started. We just living it. It's us. But I've studied history. This has been this way a long time. That's what upsets me, that we keep going through the same thing. Now, in the late 18th century, okay, a Frenchman by the name of Count Constantine de Volney, from 1757 to 1820. This is the white guy who did his homework. Now, he wrote a wonderful history book entitled The Ruin of Empires, meaning he studied the breakdown of the empire and what caused them to fall. And he just told them like it was, which described his journeys in Egypt himself between 1783 and 1785. He spent 2 years. So he did his due diligence. He did there and did his homework like he's supposed to do. And now, so he wrote a book. This book became a bestseller. Pay attention. In France. Now remember, watch this. And the demand was for this book was so great that they needed an English version, and it was printed in American edition. Now, watch this. Became available in the mid 1790s. This is 1790. Volney's description of the ancient monuments were fair and objective. No racist, none of that nonsense. He told it the way it was. He described the appearance of the Sphinx as typical Negroid in all its features. You can't miss. Look at him, that big nose. We know he wasn't that. Told the truth. And to some, watch this, Volney's descriptions were too accurate. So truth is too good, too accurate. What that? Oh, I forgot. If you want to lie, the truth don't play a role. Why? We not doing the truth. He didn't know that. They didn't give him the memo. He didn't get the. No, I'll just tell you my mind. I went. I saw. No. So watch this. Watch this. This is the best part. I'm getting upset. Like I try to calm myself down. And what they had Negro features, and to some, this description from them were too accurate, and they had to be modified. You see what they did to Imhotep? I just gave that lesson. We know he's a black man. When they get him, he's this white, stoic, Greek. No, but again, they did the same thing with Jesus. I got endless concepts of what these guys do. All right, watch this. Now, for example, this is one name. Indifference to his American attitude regarding people of African descent, British editors decided to omit several lines of his text from the pages 15, 16, and 17 in the American edition of The Ruins of Empires. They took information out that they didn't want known. They omitted out of his book, unbeknownst to him. But one specific quotation described the ancient kingdom of Ethiopia and the Egyptian city of Thebes, which they changed to Waset. Another edited statement which describes the people of Kemet read this: they are people now forgotten who discovered while others were yet still barbarians. The elements of the arts and the science, a race of men who ejected from society. Why? For their sable skin, aka black, and frizzy hair. That's us, the black man. In the Bible, Phil Ward, feet of brass and hair of wool. That's what he described it in his own words. Found on the study of the laws of nature. We put that in effect. We gave that. Those civil and religious systems were still governed by the unit in the universe. We had the planets mapped out. We had the astrology system. We had all of that. We bought that horoscope still today. We use the 12 gates, the 12 apostles, the 12 crayons of earth. We knew all of that. We were breaking down how to use your damn brain thousands of years ago. Excuse me. But they played the same mind games back then. What? The original thief, the original crook, the original. Vornay discovered this glaring omission and it pissed him off. Only to what? He only found out after what? He was a damn Frenchman. He found out after he mastered the English language and he forbade the future sale of his work until such time as it could be what? Published with the what? In this entirety. Put the stuff back. Tell the truth. They didn't like that. So it happened to him. You know what happened to him. Until the work to put the stuff back in its entirety. This act, watch this. Since this act of censorship was certainly not an isolated incident. It was representative of what? A clear, constant pattern of what we call a cover-up. And the denying African historical accomplishments. And to this day, we still find out a whole bunch of stuff that what they covered up that they didn't do. Talking about the Greeks. Okay. And watch this. The gross misrepresentation of the Nile Valley history have been referred to as what we know. My man gave us that concept, stolen legacy. I told you we educated the Greeks. They came out and enslaved us and presented what we gave them to the world as if they were the smart ones. That's the original thief. That's the original con man. That's the original bad guy. The original snake, the legacy stealer, and have been perpetuated by many learned scholars for what? Hundreds of years. They've been doing it for a long time. 2 millennia prior to Varney's travel to the Nile Valley. Now, he went in the 1700s. And other Europeans wrote about their what? Experiences in their own observations, like Varney, but what? These travelers describe people of color who, like Varney, these travelers describe people of color, whom 15th century Europeans knew that, would later what? Enslave and classify as Negroes. The slave trade was on. Okay, let's put these niggas to work. Never mind the intellect. No, we don't care about none of that. Take all that away. We give them a whole new, we give them religion, we give them all that. But just kidding, what we need them to do what? Pick this damn cotton. As early as the 8th century BCE, Homer, a Greek, wrote a book called the Iliad. It stated, watch this, that Zeus, y'all know Zeus as the white Greek god, okay? Zeus was a black man. Again, they changed him, okay, to be what? A white man. Jesus, we know, was a black man. They changed him to be what? A white man. In order for you to oppress or hold a bunch of people down, you have to change their God to look like you, so you look superior. Thieves. And watch this. They stated Zeus and all, from Zeus and all his gods of Greece. Watch this. They all what? Traveled back to Africa. I didn't know nothing about Egypt and Africa when I was doing my Greek mythology studies. Great stories, love them. They never mentioned it. I'm still pissed about that. That's like trusting somebody and they've been lying to you the whole time. That's what they do to you in religion. Moving on. But that upsets me. And watch this. They go to Africa to feast with the what? Ethiops. Faultless men, noble men, intelligent, civilized men. If they spent their time to go feast with them, that's ultimate respect. But no, they don't want that known. So we don't know that. Okay? So 400 years later, now you got the historian Herodotus, another Greek historian. He got his story. And these stories are far and few between, but that's because everybody wasn't telling the truth. And if you told the truth, you look to get excommunicated. Why? They're going to get you. Why? We telling this story. If you don't tell the story we tell you, we're going to take care of that. To this day, if you go against the powers that be, what happened? You mysteriously die. You disappear. Accident, whatever. They've been doing that a long time. Assassinate presidents, whatever. This is an ongoing cycle with this guy, for these kind of people. All right, let me see. I see the cloud. Let me get this out the way. But again, Herodotus, he had to say about it. Almost all the names. Now he's speaking about his people. Now he's gonna tell the truth about the Greeks. He's gonna slap them around with the truth. Almost all the names of the gods came into Egypt. Where? From Egypt. My man did a little lesson. I had to tell us. I can't wait to say this. The devil's biggest trick was to convince the world that he don't exist, right? Zeus is that trick. What you mean? No. In Spanish, what's Zeus' name? How you say Zeus in Spanish? Jesus, right? Break that down. Hey, who? Zeus. Y'all call him the devil. That's who he represents. But he tricked y'all into thinking what? He's God. A little tidbit, again, another little tidbit. Why? I did my homework. I get other people's perspective. And, I can't wait to put that one out. Yeah, okay. Hey, Zeus. Y'all don't even know y'all worshiping the devil. And it's been saying that. Everybody say the same thing. Everybody who I know say the same thing about religions. Moving on. I ain't the only one. But my inquiries, he's telling from his perspective, my inquiries prove that they were all derived from foreign sources. And from my opinion, is that Egypt furnished the greater number of them. They got Sumerian gods, they got Mesopotamian gods, they know about the Anunnakis, they got everybody's information. They took it, honed it, and made their concepts and told their stories. Remember, they let you know Greek mythology. They telling stories. They creating gods and stories to make them look good. I got a problem with that. Why? It taught me how to think, how to use this thing on my head from their perspective. But when I went to Egypt and got the truth, so yeah, I'm still pissed about that. Okay, all right, right back. But all the information from the greater number came from the Egyptians, and the Egyptians were the first to introduce psalm assemblies, processions, and a litany of what? Gods. What? Those gods was part of your damn brain. They've given you breakdown on how the brain works. Oh man, that's genius. I just remember that. But all of which what? The Greeks were what? Taught by us. They learned everything that we taught them. It seems to me that it's enough sufficient proof of that fact in Egypt. Why? These practices have been established from remote antiquity, where in Greece, they only recently were known. They didn't start it, but they got it from somebody. They don't tell you that. Herodotus also stated that the Greek oracle or the prophets were one of two Egyptian women. They had the female virgins. They had a thing for virgins. Okay, they got to be virgins. Okay, but they're oracles who they go into a chant. But they was doping them up, getting them high, and they was tripping, and they would ask them questions, and they would tell them all this stuff in the trance world. So they believed in oracles. Okay, but they were women who were, watch this, who were allegedly kidnapped from Thebes, aka Waset that they called it, by the Phoenician traders. Okay. One was taken to Libya, the oracle of Amun. She gave God concept from Amun perspective out of Thebes again. And the other was taken to a place called Dudana in Greece. Herodotus also describes the Egyptians as black skinned and having woolly hair. 400 years later, after the visit of Herodotus to Africa, a Sicilian, named Diodorus, also recorded his observation of the Nile Valley inhabitants. I'm going to wrap it up with this. He said the Ethiopians said that the Egyptians are one of their colonies, which was brought into Egypt by Asar. They call him Osiris, again, the Greek name. They even alleged that this country was originally underwater, but the Nile dragged much mud as it flowed from the Ethiopia, and it had finally filled in and made it part of the continent. This is history from the people who was there. They add that from them, all from their authors and ancestors, the Egyptians got most of their laws from Ethiopia. We the little brother of how about this? When we couldn't defend ourselves, we went to get the Ethiopians, the Bow people. They was proficient in defending themselves. That's why the white man couldn't conquer them. So anybody got in trouble, get the Ethiopians. Why? They the ones who handle the business. The big brother. And it is from them that the Egyptians have learned to honor kings as gods and bury them with such pomp and circumstance. Sculptures, writings were invented by the Ethiopians. Dun 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 dun. That's the true history of our ancient Africa. And that's what I'm going to stop right there. I hope you got the lesson. I got more for you. I'll be right back. But we're going to do this Zeus thing right quick. Zeus was regarded as the king of the Greeks, gods, and was worshipped by the Romans also as Jupiter. Within Greek mythology, again, it was said that Zeus regularly traveled to Africa to dine with the Ethiopian faultless men, his boys. Why? He was one of them. He wasn't white. He was a black man. You can't go to Ethiopia being white and hanging out with them. That was unheard of. So again, they changed it to substantiate their story to be superior race, aka the original start of white supremacy. Hope you got the lesson. I'll be back with more. I don't want to say militant, but I'm just breaking down the truth and give you a breakdown of understanding. This has been happening for a long time, and we still suffer through the same lack of knowledge of who we are. My goal is to get you knowledge of self. That's what I'm doing. Is hope you can learn some things like I did. In closing, right thing, because may you all live to be 100 me, 100 miles a day. So I've known them my right thing who's starting to get information about themselves and the history of the Nile Valley civilization, contribution to the world, and passed away, starting with the first concept of white supremacy. I'm no racist. I'm an intelligent man.